Hi, everyone, and welcome to part two of the Overcoming Low Self-Worth presentation. So the reason why I created this part two is because I want to share with you all what it means to look at the situation from a holistic health perspective. So not only the mental and emotional health, but also the physical and spiritual health. So by the end of the presentation, the hope is that you will gain a better understanding of what holistic health means, but also possibly gain some new insights as to how it might be affecting you in this low self-worth possible perspective here. So before we get into the new material, I do want to review a couple things from last time, but I will go through them very briefly. So again, my name is Tina. I'm a licensed clinical mental health counselor associate. I've been counseling since 2015. I've been with a holistic health clinic since 2018, and I am a mom to twin toddlers, so I stay pretty busy. So just to recap some of those things from last time and get into some of the previous material just very briefly as well. So discussion topics, again, what is self-worth? Why does it matter? Symptoms, the impact, and strategies to improve. So definition, remember that self-esteem is determined by external factors, whereas self-worth is determined by internal value. So two different ways to look at it, but for the purpose of this presentation, focusing on self-worth. Why does it matter? It matters because if you do have low self-worth, or if you're experiencing any sense of low self-worth, it's possible you're not talking to yourself very nicely. It's possible that you're not seeing success in certain areas of your life because you have low self-worth and therefore are being held back in some way or another by yourself. So different areas to start to pay attention to and start to address, hopefully from this presentation. So different areas that might be impacted. Again, I'm going to go through these briefly because I already talked about them a little bit more in the last presentation. But past experiences, relationships, achievements or goals, contributions, self-talk or self-view. So yes, if you have low self-worth, then all of these areas will be negatively impacted and probably need to be addressed in some way or another at some point or another. And then the bonus areas for today that we're going to go into a little more in depth is physical health and spiritual health. Again, this looks different for everyone, but worth mentioning and going through to see how you might be impacted. So let's get into it. Symptoms of low self-worth from a physical health perspective. I'm going to go through each symptom briefly, and without a doubt, there are probably more symptoms that are not listed here, but these are just a few that came to mind when I was thinking about different symptoms. Poor hygiene, maybe not showering regularly, maybe not brushing teeth regularly, but noticeable things that are accumulating over time. Chronic pain or health issues, maybe certain symptoms are being ignored, maybe certain aches or pains are being ignored and put by the wayside because other things seem more important. Poor self-maintenance, maybe there's not enough attention being paid to how you present yourself, whether that's how you present your hair, your clothes, whatever that might be, just a change in appearance. And that might be based on how you feel about yourself or think about yourself. Lack of exercise, maybe not valuing your physical health as much and therefore not taking care of yourself physically in ways that would really be beneficial and prioritizing your physical health. Poor sleep patterns. Maybe you're not sleeping well. Maybe it's not something that you see as a priority. Maybe it's not something that you're noticing is impacting you. But if we look at the research, we know that sleep is very important for energy and focus and so many more things. So understanding that is a priority and making it intentional to focus on and improve on. Skin issues. Skin is a great indicator of something's going on physically that need to be addressed. Maybe it's a dry skin patch. Maybe it's blemishes. Maybe it's more than that. And paying attention to that and noticing that and being aware that maybe something needs to be addressed on a deeper level. Poor nutrition. So maybe we already know, this is usually one of the first signs. We already know something is going on physically, whether we eat too much of something bad that we know is not good for us, or we're not eating enough of something that we know is good for us, whatever that looks like, but we can definitely tell by our nutrition and our diet if something is not being properly nourished in our bodies, right? So that's usually one of the first signs that we pay attention to and notice. Now I'm sharing the other side of the spectrum here. So some people who lack the exercise and lack the sense of importance, whereas others might see on the other side of the spectrum the desire to overcompensate, to say, I don't like the way that I look, so I'm going to overcompensate by overexercising. Same with overly strict dieting, maybe preventing oneself from eating certain foods and saying, no, I need to control this because I don't like the way I look, and therefore I'm going to really control how I eat. And then similarly, obsessive maintenance of appearance, maybe paying extra attention to how you dress, how you maintain your hair, how you maintain your skin, because maybe it is a little bit of overcompensating for some low self-worth symptoms going on. So that's physical health. Again, these are probably just a few of other symptoms out there. And I want to point out that these symptoms don't necessarily mean there is something wrong with a person. These are just things to look out for and pay attention to if they become an issue over time, if they intensify in their impact over time. So just wanting to put that out there. These are not definitive indications of something wrong, but early signs that might be worth paying attention to. So next, going into spiritual health, excessive guilt. So thinking not good enough, not worthy enough, but just something, feeling extra burdened by something in a spiritual setting. Fear of judgment. So fearing being judged negatively by others, whatever capacity that looks like, whether it's in a service role, whether it's just certain behaviors, whether it's certain comments, whatever that looks like. Resisting help or encouragement. So maybe being in a position, being in a service position or a leadership position and having a hard time accepting help or accepting praise or comments or compliments because it's not something that we're used to, and maybe our sense of low self-worth is resisting those things as well. Comparing ourselves to others. So this is when we do the comparison game, right? We look at ourselves and compare to people we admire, compare to people we think are better in some way or another, and seeing ourselves as lesser than because of it. Perfectionism, very similar. So seeing how certain things that we do just are not as good or not good enough, and being a little extra critical on ourselves because of it. Fear of failure. So fearing that we do something, we try something, and we're going to fail instead of being able to pursue something we might have an interest in or being able to engage in a certain way because we have that sense of fear of failing. Overlooking strengths and gifts. So maybe there are areas that you are gifted, you are especially talented in, but because of that low self-worth, it might not be something you're wanting to share, not wanting to put yourself out there, and is causing you to take a step back. Lack of engagement. Very similar to some of the other points here, just not feeling good enough, not feeling able, not feeling skilled enough, and not feeling the confidence to be able to engage in certain ways that maybe you are wanting to or hoping to someday. Again, some similar things, feeling not good enough, therefore not engaging, therefore not being involved in certain activities, not being involved in certain roles, and just letting that kind of overpower your ability to connect in some ways. And again, the other side of the spectrum is, well, maybe feeling like because you don't feel good enough, overcompensating and overextending yourself by doing too many things and overworking yourself and feeling like you have to do more and extra to the point of feeling overwhelmed or burnout or whatever that looks like. So again, just like the other symptoms for physical health, these symptoms do not indicate that there is definitely something wrong. However, these are some symptoms to pay attention to, some early signs possibly to, again, pay attention to if they become an issue over time, if they intensify over time. Now, what I want to say is we all have some area that we could improve on. None of us are perfect. None of us do everything right. None of us are great at everything we do. So acknowledging that and reading through some of those symptoms, asking yourself the question, is there an area that I could improve on? Is there something that I could change or modify to see better success in that area of my life? And if you think maybe one or two areas, or maybe just something that you've already been working on, then it might be worth having a deeper conversation. It might be worth doing a deeper reflection to see how you can improve in those areas. And here I want to share with you some strategies that maybe you've already tried, maybe you've never tried before, and see if they could help you in improving those areas. And specifically to the spiritual and physical health. In the previous presentation, I did speak to these 6 strategies, but in this presentation, I'm going to share exactly what those examples might look like for the spiritual and the physical health. So first here is self-compassion. What does that look like? Taking care of yourself like you would care for a loved one. Also, positive self-talk. Speaking to yourself like you would speak to a loved one. Third, set boundaries. Protecting yourself like you would protect a loved one. Do you see a pattern? So I wrote these specifically in this way because there are so many times when we would take care of a loved one better than ourselves. But there's no reason why we can't take care of ourselves just as well as a person that we care about. So let me give you specific examples, and probably better examples out there that will pertain to you specifically. However, these are just examples that came to mind when I was thinking through these. Self-compassion in the physical health perspective, that means scheduling that doctor appointment. Are you ignoring that pain? Are you ignoring that ache, that discomfort? Improving on that self-compassion, improving on your self-worth is saying you are worthy of the time, the energy, and the money to go see that doctor. Take care of yourself. Address the issue. And just like you would for a loved one, but doing that for yourself as well. And then spiritually, what does that look like? Pray and meditate, even if you don't feel like you deserve the energy or the grace. Same thing you would tell a loved one, even if you don't feel like you deserve it, do it anyway, because you would probably tell them that they do deserve it. And same thing for yourself. Just do it anyway, regardless of how you feel you deserve it or not. Positive self-talk. Physical health, that means telling yourself it's okay. It's okay to take a break. It's okay to sit down. It's okay to go enjoy the air conditioning in the hot blazing sun for a couple minutes. It's okay to go get a drink of water if you're feeling a little dehydrated. It's saying it's okay to do certain things to take care of yourself when you feel the need to do so. Giving yourself that grace and understanding, right? Changing that self-talk. And then same for your spiritual health. That means telling yourself it's okay to make a mistake. It's okay you didn't do it perfectly. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Now for all of these, I know easier said than done. But these are just examples to hopefully start to change that language, start to change that self-talk a little bit so that there's a better sense of self-worth that does build. So continuing on, setting boundaries. That means, one example, limiting your use of technology at nighttime before bed, protecting your sleep window and saying, okay, I need to focus on winding down, protecting my sleep quality so that the next day you are focused and you are recharged and being able to do the things that you want to do. And then spiritually, limiting the number of service roles that you take on, not letting yourself reach to the point of burnout and being overwhelmed, but saying, okay, I have my limit. I need to protect myself and set that boundary. Moving forward, celebrating success. Celebrate yourself like you would celebrate a loved one. Surrounding yourself with joy the same way you would surround a loved one. Seeking professional guidance, pushing yourself to get help like you would push a loved one. So what does that look like? Celebrating success physically for your physical health. Sharing with friends and family when you achieve a health goal, saying, man, I achieved this thing, big or small, especially the small. saying, man, I was trying to drink this much water today and I did it. It was so hard, but I did it. And sharing that and just celebrating and just saying, good job, me, saying, yay, me, and allowing yourself to soak it in. Same with spiritual health. Maybe something amazing happened, maybe something big or small, and you're just like, man, I did this thing. I didn't know I could do it, or man, I didn't know this would happen again, or I feel really good about this or that. Sharing that with someone and being able to soak it in and say, yay, me, and acknowledging. So I know that might be hard for some people, but just being able to say, yay, me. Surrounding yourself with positivity, that could look like joining an exercise class, whether it's dance, cycling, yoga, so many different things. I know there's like goat yoga, I think now. So, whatever interests you, joining a class, surrounding yourself with people like minded who will bring that same energy and maybe make some new friends. Same in the spiritual setting, maybe joining a new group, a new community, joining a new class of people and making connections. And again, making new friends that can bring that same energy. And seeking professional guidance, what that means is for physical health, finding someone who has that specialty and understanding, who can give you a more in depth perspective of whatever it is that you might be going through. And same with spiritual health. Maybe there's somebody who can give you more insight from a specific spiritual perspective that you're looking for and really just absorbing what they have to say. And maybe that will give you better guidance. So I went through these fairly quickly, but and again, there's many more examples out there, I'm sure, that would be more specific for you. But hopefully this gives you a better idea of what that holistic health perspective looks like and how it might apply to you in this setting. Now, have you tried these before? Have you done them before and you're just like, man, Tina, I've tried. It's not working. In that case, I would say for step number 6, seeking more general guidance. And that's something that I would recommend reaching out to me about. So I do free 15-minute consultations. If you're wanting to address something specific in this presentation or in general, I'm happy to have a conversation to identify what those needs are, what those concerns are. But maybe you're just looking for referrals. Maybe you're just looking for resources, which I can help with as well. But at the end of the day, if we find that it would be helpful for us to work together, I can create that customized plan so that we can move forward in the things that you're wanting to achieve. So I'm going to include with this webinar a link so that you can click on the scheduling options and schedule a time with me. And I'd be happy to speak with you for whatever it is that you're wanting to talk about. And finally, I just want to thank you all for listening, and hopefully you learned a few things from this presentation. And I look forward to hearing from you and talking with you soon.